All right. All right, hello everyone. My name is Brandon Burbank. I'm from Whatcom County. I grew up born and raised in Whatcom County. I just have so much to talk to you guys today about with the topic of mental health, to really give you guys more perspective on what it's been like to go through challenges with mental health and be able to be a success story for other people, an inspiration for other people. The things that I've gone through have been very challenging, and so in my 20s is when I've had to really test myself and grow and learn how to better equip myself with the right mindset so that I can succeed and not give up on my dreams. Because at the end of the day, guys, I want to be able to help a lot of people who have struggled with mental illness. According to NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness, 1 in 5 adult Americans is living with a mental illness. 1 in 5. And so when you think about that, there's a lot of people. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, over 50 million Americans are living with a mental illness. So I was diagnosed at the young age of 19 with a bipolar disorder diagnosis. And I've had to learn how to adapt with this condition and be able to still ask myself, how can I be successful? And so I've dedicated my life ever since I started speaking back in Long Beach, California, back when I was in 2021. I started speaking professionally, trying to get more opportunities, whether it be helping people at Denny's locations to doing locations at Thunder Studios and other assortment of different places in Long Beach area. And then I've gone through a lot of challenges. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 different components. The 5 components are hospitalizations, halfway house, mental health treatment program, homelessness and homelessness recovery, and return to work phase. To start with the hospitalizations, I've been through probably 4 major hospitalizations since the age of 19. This has been a hard situation to deal with, and I've had to embrace change really quite often. And now that I'm in a much better place, it's been almost 10 years since my diagnosis, I've been able to start asking myself, how can I continue to grow? How can I continue to succeed? And these hospitalizations really were testing me in different ways, because it was, sometimes I needed the help, sometimes I needed the extra support, sometimes it was helpful for me to learn from other people and have that extra support and that feedback from other people. And as a result, it's made me who I am today, and I have no regrets about it, even though it was really challenging and it really tested my own nature about how I can succeed. And so I've dedicated my life to this because I feel like I'm called to making a positive impact and making a huge, being a transformative person for other people, and hopefully to be able to give people, if they don't have a diagnosis, being able to give people mental health awareness. Because even though we might not be entirely affected by these conditions, there's a lot of people that we might know about who are struggling with their mental health, and being supportive for them is a great way to being a good person. And so these hospitalizations really tested me, and they caused a lot of trauma and pain, but guess what? I was able to be persistent, and I was able to really ask the Lord and my higher power to help me to get through these challenges. And with my faith, it's helped me become more grounded and having a source of support so that I can get better, so that I can bounce back and actually make a large difference and make a big impact for the lives of other people. Now, my trend of progression from my speaking business, it's taken me years to get to this point, years. And although I'm 28, I still have so many years of life ahead of myself. I've had to sacrifice so much because I care about what my message is and what I can do to help other people, and transforming other people's opinions, giving them more feedback, and saying that even though I have a diagnosis, that doesn't mean that I can't do other things that you are doing, that you are capable of doing as well. So being an advocate is another thing that I'm really passionate about, and I'm hoping that this will give you more insight to seeing that I'm just somebody who didn't quit. I refuse to give up. I care so much about what I'm doing in my cause, and I want to actually monetize this and make a difference to help other people. And I feel like it's possible, but it just takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of patience, and in the meantime, the hospitalizations, they've helped shape me for who I am. And I've started to learn that these challenges, these struggles that I've dealt with, they've made me who I am. And so because of that, my story is unique, just like every single one of you. You have your own story, you have your own life story, your own life challenges that you deal with. But one of the things that I wanted to really specify right now is the importance of how I was able to take my life and the challenges that I've dealt with, with bipolar disorder, and I'll get into that as well, is that I've turned these struggles into my biggest successes. So by being able to recognize that these were challenges that were hard, these were hardships that I had to bear by myself, and ask myself, how do I get better? But I've been able to turn them into positives because I can share my message, my story with other people, and giving people more awareness to seeing that there's hope for other people. Because, you know, I mean, there's a lot of stigma in this world with mental health, and so that's where it's like being kind towards other people and being open-minded and being a good listener. Those are a couple of really important values that we could really work on when we're talking with people in general, but then also as far as people who have mental health challenges, because we essentially want to be heard. We want to be understood. We want to be appreciated and valued and treated equally as somebody who doesn't have a mental health challenge. And so that's where my encouragement for you today, folks, is to think about how you're talking to different people. If it's somebody who maybe takes a little bit more extra energy, that can be hard, but you can totally do it by being an active listener and trying to empathize with what they're going through. So I'm going to take a backtrack back to bipolar disorder so that you can understand more about my condition. So I think I have bipolar 2. There's two different types of bipolar disorder. My condition, I go through extreme highs and extreme lows, and so it's very hard to deal with when I am living with my life, because sometimes I go into a depression. But as of lately, I've been able to get out of a depression, and I feel like I'm being able to be more productive with my life. But from the history since I was 19 years old, I've gone through like a lot of ups and downs, and what I've also noticed is when I've done extreme changes, like moving out of Long Beach, California, back to Whatcom County, was a very hard experience for me, and I'll talk about that right now with the homelessness and homelessness recovery. What that entailed was, it was very, I was living in Long Beach, California, and trying to be successful, trying to build my speaking business back then even. And even though I wasn't getting the right success, I ended up making the decision to come back to Bellingham, where I had more support. Long story short, I didn't have the right support. So I didn't have the support from family and friends that I was looking for, and I ended up being homeless for about 30 days. And then after that, I went into the hospital this was about 2 years ago, went to the hospital again for another 24 days or so to figure out what I need to do for myself. And excuse me. So that's what I'm trying to say, is that everybody who has a diagnosis, they might be going through their own challenges, and how we support them and how we be optimistic to serve other people is really important. And we can really change a lot of people's lives by being empathetic listeners. The perspective that I've learned in a training course that talks about how if you are really being open-minded with the individual who has, maybe they might, for example, say you might have a granddaughter or a grandson who is dealing with mental health challenges. By being able to ask them and being able to treat them with kindness and respect, that's a great way to engage with them so that they can help themselves in realizing how to get the right help that they need. Because there's a lot of people out there that suffer in silence. In fact, I've worked with several other people who didn't come out of their diagnosis until they were well into their 50s. And so that's where it's like, how can we be supportive of other people and end the stigma so that there can be more opportunistic for people to succeed in life? And it's totally possible, but I will also say this, that it's important that we accept that people can put in the effort so that they can be well, and it does take a lot of effort. My transformation to get to where I'm at today is taking me years. I said it earlier, and it's been very hard to really engage, but because I didn't give up, because I care about what my cause is, I'm very passionate about the topic, and I want to help other people, whether they know it or not. It's part of my own story, and because it's part of who I am, I can definitely make a large impact for other people. Okay, so the couple of other components, experiences that I've gone through that have helped me in my own journey. The halfway house. So I was living in a halfway house back in 2017. This is an outpatient mental health treatment facility here in Bellingham, Washington. But the problem that I've dealt with this, and it taught me a lot of lessons. It taught me how to ask for help when I'm getting into a serious situation. Because for me, guys, when I was 19 years old, I was just somebody who wanted to be successful, but I was like, I wasn't willing to ask for help, and I was suffering in silence. I was somebody who kept living life, but I kept like being miserable and not asking for help until now, where I'm more developed and more understood of the world. I can see that it's okay to ask for help from other people. It's okay to have people to support you in your journey. And so the halfway house was a very pivotal experience for me, because what it did is, even though it taught me how to be alone and how to be lonely, it showed me that I can still succeed. And because I held on and I didn't give up, because I could have gone continuously downwards and totally deteriorated my mental health, but it's like that never happened, because I was like, you know what, I've been through so much, I'm gonna keep trying, and I feel like what I have to offer is still valuable, and I still had my own perspective, my own reality of life. So then I went to, after that, I had the great opportunity to go to a mental health treatment center called Skyline Trail in Atlanta, Georgia. And even though I was still in denial of my diagnosis, looking back now, this was a very transformative experience for me, because what it did is it gave me more hope. It gave me more hope to seeing that there's other people who have gone through these extreme mental health challenges, hospitalizations, but they can also relate because they want to get better. And there was, at this facility where I was at, the mental health treatment program, what it did for me is it helped give me more perspective on seeing that there's other people who are struggling too, but they're still trying to get better. And that's what's helped me with a lot of inspiration and motivation, is to seeing that there's other people who are still functioning cognitively and helping and socializing actively with other people. I can do it too. And so I'm taking it to another level, and now I'm still trying to speak professionally to different audiences and giving people different feedback so that they can see that, you know, even though you have a diagnosis, that doesn't mean you can't be successful in your own field. And my niche has been created around mental health. So the hospitalization to then the halfway house and then the mental health treatment program, this is a whole robust amount of experience to seeing other people and having intentional conversations with people and how they've helped themselves, how they've been able to grow and become more developed and more successful in their own goals. I mean, guys, at the end of the day, it's about being happy. It's about living a life and enjoying who you are and being able to do something that you love to do. And so I've made many sacrifices to get to where I'm at today. And that's why I'm very grateful, because I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy right now in my life for what I have. Although I have a lot of ambitions, because I want to succeed in this career path to helping other people, but I have to be patient because I'm in school, I'm working part-time, I'm socializing with friends, and all these processes take time for transformation. And so what's helped me with giving me more inspiration is the fact that I know that I can get better, and the fact that I will, every time I get discouraged, I tell myself I will be up on that stage again to make a difference for other people. And at the end of the day, my perspective is I feel like what I have to offer can really help a lot of people. It might not be hard. It might be hard to understand at first, but then once you get to know more of who I am and what I've been through, you can start to see the fine line about how I wasn't willing to give up on my dreams. And my dream is, still to being able to be on stage right now. This is what I live for. This is what gives me so much passion and purpose and meaning to help change lives of other people. And, the youth population, for example, a lot of them are still are struggling with their own mental health. And so in the future, as I continue to expand my horizons, I would love to give more talks to the youth population to give them more feedback on how to support themselves, because when they grow up, they might end up dealing with mental health challenges, or they might have a friend or a loved one that is dealing with these challenges, and by being able to know a little bit more about mental health and how to approach the topic can be very vital for people's growth and process. Okay, so transitioning now to the homelessness and homelessness recovery. I was living in Long Beach, California for 2 years successfully, and even though it was a very difficult experience because of the fact that it was a different environment than here in Bellingham. Bellingham is much more, in Whatcom County, it's much more slower paced. It's just a different take on life, and because of that, I had to go through these challenges and acclimating myself to this environment. So as I was there for 2 years, I ended up returning back home and struggling. And so, as I mentioned earlier, but with that in mind, it taught me a lot of lessons, because I had a lot of experiences down in Long Beach, California, where it helped me experience different perspectives, different ways of how to live life, and also how to better be successful, because there's a lot of competition in the market. There's more competition, there's more people there, and so it's just a different place. So that's the homelessness recovery, though. After I got out of the hospital in 2023, I lived in a residential recovery home in Bellingham, Washington. It was called the Sun House. And in the Sun House, it was a great place for me to kind of get back up on my own 2 feet. And even back then, I was still trying to be a successful speaker. I still had the hope and inspiration that I could make a difference and change the lives of other people. But guess what? Some of my shows that I did, I had like 4 people show up, and that's okay. I had to accept that, embrace that, even though I was expecting, 20 people, 15 people to show up. That didn't happen. So life hit me hard. And then when I was transitioning back to being in Whatcom County, I had to really figure out who was in my life and having supportive people. What does that look like? And taking toxic people out of my life so that I can have supportive people and continue to live my life in the best way that I can. Those are the hard lessons that I had to learn as an individual, as a young adult. And so as life continued on, I continued and I just kept going. And because not every day is going to be a great day, but if you can try to make it a great day and be positive with yourself, that's a great way to change your life and to also be optimistic about the future. And really just having a strong support of people, which is what I have right now, that's what's giving me a lot of purpose and freedom to think clearly, to think about how I can be better, how I can continue to grow and become the best version of myself. In wrapping up, the last topic that I'll touch upon is the return to work phase. And what that's done for me, so highlighting a specific moment in working as a generalist, what I'm currently at right now here in Bellingham, Washington. I work for a nonprofit organization that helps people with mental illness and mental health challenges. It's called the Whatcom Clubhouse. They're located on Meter Ave, kind of close to the Lakeway Fred Meyer, if you know where that is. And at the clubhouse, I'm a supportive person. I'm just having conversations with people, being supportive, socializing with people in a healthy way, giving people hope and inspiration so that they can work on themselves, so that they can find a place that feels safe, so that they can be better and work on what they need to do for themselves. Because a lot of the folks that come in, the clubhouse members, are dealing with challenges with their own mental health, and having an extra supportive person like myself can be super valuable. And so, as you can see, my passion has come out. I've been very adamant about how I want to continue to progress, and I'm just taking it one step at a time and continuing on with this journey process to being, just to helping other people and to making a difference, and hopefully you all will learn more about mental health from my own viewpoint and from my own perspective. With that being said, I was going to invite Lori to go on the QR. There's a QR code, and I would invite all of you, if you'd like to do a quick survey. It's about 2 minutes long, and then we can do Q&A. Thank you.
Right up there. Okay.
Great.
I did.
Recording.
Well, except I got to turn my airplane back on. So there we go.
I'm going to cheat and go over with my laptop.
So we have horrible phone service here in Ferndale, and I'm not even able to reach the internet right now, either by cell or otherwise.
Cell data?
No, there's not enough power.
Not enough bars?
Well, there's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but it's not. Starting again.
I don't call them code, but I look up two of them. Yeah.
Let's try this.
Anybody has the password for library Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I'm on the unsecured. Sorry.
Not having much luck either.
We can open up for Q&A now. Yeah.
Randy, thanks for your sharing. A couple of good takeaways. One is it's a simple formula to add supportive people, but it's a little bit more complicated because you said, and this is my takeaway, that you also have to get rid of the toxic people. And that's a good lesson to learn, and I appreciate that. The more supportive people you have doesn't necessarily overcome a toxic person in your life that you might have to walk away from. And I assume that's what you've had to do.
Yes, and just recognizing that there's there's toxic people versus people who are supportive of my goals and having the right people in my life. Now as time has progressed, I've been able to incorporate the right people that are giving me tons of support and encouragement to keep chasing my goals. And that's what's making a huge difference so that I can continue to work on myself and work on what I'm doing right now.
I see you're wearing the Fishers of Man pin.
This is mental health, actually.
Really?
It's a mental health because it's just green is the signified of green, and this sigma signifies mental health.
See, I learned something new.
It's like a cancer one.
Yes.
You were hospitalized as a very young man.
Yes, ma'am.
You were subsequently homeless. You attended a facility in Georgia, I believe.
Yes.
How was all that financed?
So the hospitalization was through insurance, and then the homelessness, I had to figure that out by myself. But then being with the mental health treatment program, my parents were able to help out with that with their insurance program.
Okay.
So that's how it worked out. And I went to the mental health program when I was like 20 years old. So I was very young and still learning, and yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So when you went to Long Beach, that was to pursue a career in public speaking?
I wanted to move to Long Beach because I just wanted to try something new and try something that was going
You were young.
to put myself out there and see what was happen. I tried school, it didn't work out at the time. I tried different working different jobs that was supporting myself, but then I ended up running out of money, and so and because it's more expensive in Long Beach, I had to come back to Whatcom County, and I just had to figure things out by myself. And the one positive thing that I've experienced from the Long Beach experience is that you were exposed to different people who are really had a lot of experience as speakers, and I was able to get involved in a lot of like for example, there's an association called National Speakers Association, and there's a Los Angeles chapter in the LA County area where I was able to participate and network with other speakers, and asking myself if I'm really passionate about what I'm doing right now, then I can potentially become more like these people who are actually getting paid to speak. So that would be my perspective.
Tell us a little bit more about the nonprofit you're working for.
Yes, Whatcom Clubhouse. They were founded about a year and a half ago, so it's a fairly new organization. I'm a generalist there, so I've been working there since July of 2024. It's been very consistent. I work there part-time, and then as far as the clubhouse, it's open for members who have a mental illness or mental health condition or challenge, and all you need is a referral from either a doctor, a therapist, or a caseworker. And a lot of people who come to there are seeking support, a safe place to hang out, and just to work on themselves and maybe ask, because I want to encourage other people to start chasing their goals just like what I've done, but some people are very content with where they're at, and I can't force them to change. So that's where when it comes to the people who are interacting in this organization, some people want to get better, some people are just content with where they're at.
So how did you come out of your shell and make that decision to ask for help?
I think I had to humble myself. I had a lot of pride because even now I'm still want to be a perfectionist in a lot of ways, and really I want to be perfect and have everything be great, but that's not how life works. So that's where, to answer your question, I think I'm understanding you correctly, I've had to just take a step back and humble myself.
So who is your center of influence, if you will, or who are you engaged with Whether it's your
Right now, I have really good relationships with my family members, really good with my friends, and sometimes I've had to make changes with friends because of as I moved away from California and just moving in. I was living in Seattle as well for 10 months, so experiencing different transformations. The other thing that I'll mention about that question is I've had to learn how to actually better interact with people. And sometimes I felt like I was just super focused on my speaking business, but not focused on the social aspect, and I neglected the parts about me that needed to be addressed, that needed to have exposure to the world. And so that's even now it kind of goes back to the perfectionist part of me as who I am as a person. I want to be successful. I want to make a difference with everybody, but I have to still just be genuine and be myself.
And so you mentioned that you're going to school.
Yeah.
Where are you going to school and what are you studying?
I'm going to BTC, Bellingham Technical College, and I'm doing a Bachelor's of Applied Science and Operations Management. And although the degree is not necessarily catered towards mental health and my speaking goals, that's okay. Because having a bachelor's degree is better than not having a bachelor's degree, and it's affordable, so I can pay for the classes, and it's working out. So that's why I decided to go back to school, because it can open up more doors of opportunity. And who knows, maybe a master's is on the horizon as well. But that's all where I'm at.
Good for you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Have you found acceptance of and availability of services for your conditions that differ from state to state?
Yeah, so when I was 26, I got off my dad's insurance, so I've had to get on the other state insurances and stuff like that, and programs of that nature. So but as far as my mental health needs, they are being met right now, and I have a lot of support from the responsibilities of the extra services that are offered here in our country to help people with mental health challenges.
Did you use any of those in California?
Yes, I had a therapist.
Brian, was your question,
Yeah, is there a difference you see?
between what you saw in California and what you're seeing in?
No, there's
Huge difference, or is Washington, it sounds like Washington has good.
Washington has fairly good services as well as California. It just depends on. Yeah, it's just the one thing I'll also mention is just the different environment. Because you have a different environment, you have different perspectives. Like my old therapist in California was very successful, very helpful for my own growth, but I haven't found the right therapist right now for myself, and so I've had to give myself patience to find the right therapist again that works for me.
Well, as a professor emeritus, I applaud your degree seeking at BTC.
Thank you.
Keep it going.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
We'll jump into our meeting now. Again, thank you, Brandon.
Yeah.
So looking at